You know, when I was finally listening to my coach, who I knew had my best interest in mind, I was like, well, maybe I should listen to him. One, the proof's in the pudding. He definitely has a better physique than I do. And two, I'm paying him. Why wouldn't I listen to his advice?
Things on the stage, got the whole crowd bouncing, talking about the king of kings, a woolly mountain.
If you're wanting to find out how to get the most out of your workouts without having to spend hours in the gym, then you really want to pay attention to this video. For a very long time, throughout my, I wouldn't even say bodybuilding career because that's only been a couple of years, but throughout most of my lifetime, exercise always meant like 5 sets per exercise and being in the gym for an hour and a half to 2 hours. And while that might work for some folks, and it worked for me, it was also extremely hard for recovery, and many times I would get overuse injuries. One issue behind that for me is that since I am not on performance enhancing drugs, my recovery time just cannot be as good as those who are on enhancements. So I've learned over the years, after finally getting away from my own ego and thinking that, well, since I read it in a book, it must be true, I finally would listen to other people about high intensity training. One such person who I learned probably the most from, if not almost everything about high intensity training, is from my coach, Rob Goodwin, who learned most of what he's learned about high intensity training from Mike Mentzer and Dorian Yates. Now, the idea behind this is, okay, you're gonna go ahead and do a couple of sets of your exercise, 1 to 2 sets of a given exercise, just to get your mind right, get the muscles moving, get some blood pumped into those muscles. And then that last set, you are going to take to failure. You are going to put yourself in a mental state that you just can't describe. It's like, you know, put on whatever music it's got to be. For me, I put on Higher by Eminem, and that gets me pumped. Used to be Hatebreed, used to be Pantera, but for some reason that particular song gets me amped, all right? And then you're taking a hold of that bar, that cable, that handle, whatever. You're putting the weight heavy, all right? Heavy for you, not for your ego, heavy for you. Don't worry about the fact that the guy next to you is stronger, because this is your workout, not his. And you're gonna push that set to the point where there is, think of, you know, there is a gun to your head, and if you do not do another rep, that trigger is going off. You keep pushing until you say to yourself, well, I guess it was a fun ride, and you stop that set. You're done. Then move on to the next exercise. What is great about this is not only, I mean, I guess you're getting a pump, but I mean, pumps are great, but not only are you definitely getting a pump, you are pushing yourself mentally and physically to a place that most people won't go, and you will be rewarded for it. Your muscles will grow. Not in the gym, they'll grow while you're sleeping, and they'll grow after you give your body the right nutrients that it needs and everything else. But you'll also be done in a much quicker time than the 5 sets for each exercise. Next, you know, you're doing like 20 sets for chest and 15 sets for shoulders, you know, and then you're getting your ab work in, and then you still gotta get some cardio in or whatever, okay? Unfortunately, most of us have lives outside of the gym. So we have to make the best use of the time we have. And if you use high intensity training, you can't do 5 sets of each exercise. You won't have the energy. So, you know, the volume/intensity debate that's out there, I think one of the most unfortunate things about the internet, about social media, is that nobody's allowed to have varying opinions. You have to be 100% in one camp or 100% in the other. Now, I advocate using high intensity. However, pause for effect, I'm aware that not everybody can do that, although everyone should at least try. All right, everyone's body is a little bit different, not too much different. Let's not kid ourselves and think that everybody is that unique in how you were designed. Okay, I mean, obviously God could make every single person 100% completely different from the other, but he doesn't. You know why? Because when God said, let us make man in the likeness of our image, apparently this is it. Now, I know that sounds pretty cocky, but you know what I mean. You know, the arms, legs, torso, all that stuff, that's what it is. We're gonna do our business, Rocky. Might have to pause here for a second. Let's see. False advertising, he's just sniffing. So, while, you know, people say, oh, my body responds this way, that way, whatever. If you haven't really tried high intensity training yet, not to be confused with high intensity interval training, that's another video for its own time. If you haven't tried it yet, you should try it, all right? Beginning of my bodybuilding journey in 2019, 2020, I made the mistake of just, you know, going to one of my favorite bodybuilders and seeing what his workout split was, all right? And my favorite bodybuilder, I'll say this forever, is Chris Bumstead. I think he's got a great physique. I love his YouTube videos. And they're just amazing. And he's got a cool personality. Just check him out, right? And so I found his training split, and it was a 6-day split. And it had some volume to it. Not as much as like some of the other workout programs I had seen, like on Arnold Schwarzenegger's encyclopedia or something like that. But it definitely had some volume to it. And I was using it, and yeah, I saw some results. But I have to remember that, one, I'm not nearly as young as Chris Bumstead. And two, I'm not using anything, you know, for enhancement. So my recovery rate is not nearly as good as Chris Bumstead. And I don't have his genetics. That guy is a monster. Okay? I mean, just a monster. So I overtrained that year. I still looked good, but I overtrained. When I got away from my own, like, you know, there's some people like myself that when they research something, regardless of how much research you do, because honestly, I didn't do that much. I just went to Chris Bumstead's YouTube video and there was my research, right? You know, we get married to our ideas and then that's it. No one can tell us any different. Well, you know, when I was finally listening to my coach, who I knew had my best interest in mind, I was like, well, maybe I should listen to him. One, the proof's in the pudding. He definitely has a better physique than I do. And two, I'm paying him. Why wouldn't I listen to his advice? So when I switched over to high intensity training and giving my body more time to rest, oh my gosh. I mean, I'm 48 years old and I know, my shoulders are bigger, chest is bigger, my arms are much bigger than they were. My legs are bigger, but I wasn't really using high intensity training principles on my legs because it was hard to take squats to failure if I'm by myself. No one's there to help me if something happens. So as I'm learning and evolving, I'm also learning, well, you don't necessarily have to do barbell squats just because that's what some other gym rat says who's not trying to compete. I'm trying to compete. I'm not trying to impress anybody. So if I have to use a Smith machine for my squats to make sure I can go to failure, well then, so be it. Or if I got to use a leg press machine because maybe there's not a squat available. Okay, great. But you take those sets and you destroy yourself and you get out of it, you get done. Today's workout for me was arms. And using high intensity intervals, even with, you know, doing my little Instagram, YouTube video shots between sets to, you know, put up a reel and everything else, I was done today in 33 minutes. Done with my workout. Sore and done. Now I'm walking my dog for, well, what should be cardio, but it's really just hoping he poops here in a little bit so I don't got to take him for another walk later on today. Yeah, done. And that's really how you should be thinking too. You know, most of you are watching this are working men and women, you have things you got to do outside of the gym. As much as I'd love to be there 5 hours a day, 6 days a week, I simply can't. I got a dog that's got to go out on his walks. I got a wife that wants my time and deserves my time, deserves the best part of my time, not just, me being weary because I've been in the gym for 6 hours. My children, even though they're fully grown, they deserve my time. So that's it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Check the link below. Download my free ebook. You can also book a free consult. I'd love to work with you and get you started on your fitness journey. And if you liked that video, check out this one. And other than that, have a beautiful day, and I'll see you at the next video. Bye.